What is it like being a successful lawyer, right? What is it like dating? Are men intimidated by your success? Do you feel like you need to date someone on your level? Would you ever date down? I got so many questions.
Listen, I am of the school of thought. If a man has ambition and he has drive and he makes way less than me, I'm good with that. As long as he treats me really nice, he's loyal, I'm fine with that. But if the ambition is not there, the motivation's not there, the finances is not there, it's a chopped cheese.
Hey, Honesties. Welcome back to another episode of Honesty the Podcast with your host, Zena, aka Top Tier Z, where I keep it raw, I keep it real, and I keep it risky. Why does everyone laugh when I do
that little introduction. That was cute.
Thank you. I have
cute.
this thing with alliteration. I just really like alliteration.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I just have to make that part of my intro.
Yes.
It's giving nerd, but happy Women's History Month to all my fellow women out there. Okay, it's our time to shine and to empower each other. Speaking of empowering, today's guest is Stephanie Lynette Nelson from SL Nelson Law Firm, PLLC. Welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored.
It is a pleasure. Thank you for being here.
Yes.
She said, clock it. I'm going to kick off this episode with my fast 5 of Would You Rather questions. Okay. You give your response and I might keep it pushing or I might investigate. Okay.
Oh, no.
Ooh. My first question is, would you rather start over in your career with the knowledge you have now or keep your success but learn nothing new?
Oh. Not start over, actually. Although I would have liked to do things earlier on in life, I believe that everything that I did made me who I am today. So all those experiences built me up to the woman that I am today.
So keep your success, but learn nothing new.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And you already gave the why, so I don't need to investigate. Would you rather have unlimited time or unlimited energy?
Unlimited time. Time is something that is so short in a day. I just wish I had more time in a day.
Same, girl. I second that.
Yes.
Because 24 ain't enough, baby.
Yes.
I need your 48 hours.
I'm late everywhere. No one wants to be my friend. Dates have left me.
Ooh, I'm working on that.
Right.
My boo said that's the only thing he doesn't like about me.
Wow,
I'm
so
not
you're bad with
punctual.
time too.
I do my best.
Huh.
I'm doing better.
Do my best.
But
Z?
I'm a work in progress. Okay. Would you rather be with someone who understands you, but the love isn't so deep, or someone where you're misunderstood, but the love is very deep?
The one who misunderstands me, but has a deep love for me. Because love will extend grace, patience, kindness. And I think with those factors, it would be easier for him to learn how to understand me.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
I completely agree. That's my response too.
Yep.
Would you rather be with a partner who is financially stable but emotionally distant, or is financially unstable but emotionally available? Which one is it, Steph?
No, ma'am. You can be emotionally unavailable. It's okay. I'm in Dubai with your Amex. It's fine.
That makes me happy.
I'm with
Therefore.
my girls. We're swiping.
I love it.
No, okay, not to sound vain, because people will be like, oh, she's about the money. I'm not. But pounding the pavement constantly and building myself up in the event something was to happen in my life where I'm with someone who is financially unstable, it would just be struggle. And I never want to get back to struggle.
Yeah.
So, I would try to compromise and deal with the emotional, unavailability and just talk and communicate. So maybe he can be available, but financially, I would like to be secure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree. And also, I
Mhm.
just feel like being financially stable, there's a lot that comes with that where their time is in demand elsewhere. So it's not
Mhm.
always going to be with you. And you learn to
Exactly.
adapt.
See, that's a very good point
That's true.
because when he's out there making the bacon,
Mhm.
he's not going to be able to always be there for you emotionally. So
Yeah.
that's a
That's why
good
you need
point.
friends.
Yeah, right. Let's go shopping.
I got those.
Right.
Also, I've been with someone who's financially unstable and he still wasn't emotionally there. So,
Oh,
what
so
was he
here we
doing?
go.
What's he
Here we go.
doing, really?
Here we go.
I'm saying, okay, let me not talk shit about him. I'm gonna save this for Patreon, okay? Final question. Would you rather be underestimated or overanalyzed in your industry?
Underestimated or overanalyzed. Underestimated because it's almost like a thief in the night. You gag them. Basically, when people don't have the ability to understand what you come with, especially in the legal industry, and they just presume or they make all these preconceived notions. I believe that it's better for me because then they lack on their game. They're slacking because they're like, maybe she's newer in the industry, she's newer in this practice area. And then that's when you gag them and you show them what you got. So, yeah, underestimate me, please.
All the time. I love being underestimated because you just never know.
Yeah.
Fire that's in me.
Exactly. And then you show them. So, yeah.
Exactly. So I want to get into what inspired you to start your law firm and what are some challenges you faced head on in the early days?
Okay. So I've always had a desire to help people. I love helping people. And I wanted to.
What do you specialize in?
Oh, I specialize in criminal law, family law, contracts, more contractual and compliance. And then I do a bit of immigration and employment law. So it's a lot of general practice areas, but for the most part, the majority of my firm is criminal and family. And then the minority is more contracts and compliance. But I just loved advocating for people, helping people. And I've always had a desire to do it in a way where I didn't have limitations. So when I came out of law school, I started prosecuting. And although I could still invest in the future of the defendants, and people would say, well, how? You're putting him in jail. And I'm like, no, you have the power to charge a certain way. You have the power to advocate that they don't get processed in the system just in a way where it's negligent or in a way where it's misconduct. In a way where you can look at that defendant as a person and try to invest in the future to keep him from going down the wrong road, or charging him and convicting him with something that could potentially ruin his entire future. Yeah. So, but it was hard doing that because when you prosecute, you still have to answer to other people.
Like who?
Supervisors, the bureau supervisors, the bureau chiefs, and the district attorney, him or herself. So yeah, it gets very sticky, especially if they're media published cases that you're prosecuting. The office still has a trajectory to do things in a way where they want to still please, the public.
The public, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Now that you've done both prosecuting or
Hmm.
prosecution? Which one?
It's the same,
Okay.
prosecuting or prosecution.
Look
Yep.
at me trying to learn law.
Hmm.
And defense, which is your favorite and why? Which do you rather?
I rather defense, and I rather defense because there are no limitations on how I can practice and how I can defend. When prosecuting, I would try to advocate for defendants who I believe should have a second chance.
Mhm.
If they didn't have a prior criminal record, if they were younger in age and misguided, I would be able to determine which charges he or she should be charged with. But
Mhm.
sometimes that was met with adversity because I have to report to bureau chiefs, bureau supervisors, district attorney, him or herself. So now that I'm in defense, I have no limitations. And that's what my S.L. Nelson law firm mission statement is, like where advocacy is limitless, because I can advocate for people limitlessly. I have no limits. So I like that part about defense.
I like that. Like you're
Mhm.
your own boss.
Yes,
Really.
I'm my own boss.
Yeah.
Yep.
This just reminds me of like Suits and like Lincoln Lawyer. I love those shows.
Lincoln, I am more of the Lincoln Lawyer. If I had to pick, how
Mhm.
he would just like have his coffee and all these papers and just get in the back of the car and be like reviewing like his
Yeah.
briefs and stuff before court and like drive off. That's me in an Uber. And I'm like, can you lower your voice? I'm reviewing something. And the Uber driver's like, okay. Yeah.
I used to want to be a lawyer, so like it's really intriguing to like actually have a black woman as a lawyer on this couch with me,
Aw.
like with your own firm and everything.
Yes.
And I remember I
you.
used to want to be like, I'm gonna do criminal justice, and then I watch all these shows and I get scared because what if
You
I
can
lose?
do it. Oh my God. Okay, listen. I haven't lost yet, but
Okay, clock it.
but you can totally do it, Z. Just like you've done this. This is entrepreneurship, right? To have your own podcast. This is
Mhm.
communications and journalism. So you can totally do law school. Actually, I did it unconventionally. I went back, I think I was about 35 years old.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was 35 or 36 when I went to law school.
So I'm definitely doing it. It's on like
Yeah.
my to-do list. It's like do all the fun stuff first and then like really lock in. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah, because you did just travel. I see that little tan. Miss Thang.
Yes,
Miss
I am
Thang was out there on the
glowing.
beach.
Oh, Lord. Not too much on me now. It's a happy glow. It's a happy glow. But yeah, I'm like, I need to get all that out the way first, you know, and then really lock in. But has there ever been a case you've taken and like regretted where it's like, I should not have taken this client?
Oh my God.
You got a story for me?
It was a referral.
Ooh, let me hear it.
And it was actually really sad. The client was not from the US originally, but she
Mhm.
was a US citizen
Mhm.
and is, and her husband was extremely abusive.
Mhm.
And when we went to file for order protection and custody of the children, the court just did not follow standard procedure when concerning family offense petitions. Like, I had to argue with the judge about what rights this client had
Mhm.
because he just didn't want to do his job.
Yeah.
And that is the hardest part of law, not just representing the client, but dealing with the parties to each case. So the judges, the opposing counsels that are not the nicest. So that's when you have to really dig in and lock in and advocate for your client as a matter of law. Go back to the statutes, go into the courtroom and say, well, Your Honor, with all due respect, this is the law.
Mhm.
This is how she should be processed through this family offense petition. So, after arguing back and forth, filing several motions, she got, what was rightfully supposed to be hers,
Yeah.
interim child support, custody of the children, and things that
Of
come
that
along
nature.
with those petitions. Yeah.
So why do you regret it? Like,
I regret it because she didn't really she didn't really have it, and I find my friends and family get on me. I find myself in these positions where I take these cases and financially sometimes people don't have it to pay for.
That makes sense.
So when you're 8 months into a case and the retainer ran out 6 months ago, you're essentially working for free.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's when my Christian values come in and I'm like, Stephanie, be a blessing. She doesn't have it or he doesn't have it. But not too much heavy on that because, you know, I still have bills to pay and this is my profession. You know, I have a student loan to pay back. So at the end of the day, you know, a lot of my clients, and I thank God for that, they are higher end clients, but sometimes I will get people to contact me and say, listen, I need help and I really don't have it. And if I review the case and the facts of their case, and I say they really do need help, and I see that injustice is being served to them, then I do still fight for them equally.
Yeah.
You know?
That's really sweet of you.
Yeah.
You're paying stuff forward.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What would you say is the most challenging part of being a Black woman in a male-dominated field?
I feel like males, especially in the legal industry, a lot of them are older and senior. So it's giving very much the brothers club, very much, you know, bro codes. And sometimes they even look at me when I walk in a courtroom and they're like, oh, she's a court clerk. And I'm like, no, actually, I'm the...
No, they did not. No, you did not.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm the opposing counsel. And I'm going to whoop your... No. I do. I be whooping. But yeah, they kind of speak down to me sometimes. And I have to correct them. Like counsel, you know, with all due respect, we can talk amicably without being rude or condescending. Like I'm not sure why your tone is even in, you know, that manner. But there's like one or two I had to address, but sometimes, you know, they do look down. How you remedy that is you just really maintain your position, come in very strong, organized, come in very just have your stuff together. And then when you have your stuff together, it's like, okay, they kind of peel back a little bit and respect you a bit more.
I feel that's like any field, honestly speaking.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
I work in corporate, I work in private equity, and it's the same thing to some extent where I don't really care to be liked. I care to be respected, right? And if I do my job and I do my job really well, then you have no choice but to respect me. And that's just what it is, you know?
Yeah.
But I do get a lot of like, they definitely think I'm like this little, not a puppy, but like I'm all shy and I'm a damsel in distress and she's not authoritative. And then when I am that, it's like, oh shit, that's you?
Like she has it in her.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that goes back to being underestimated, right? Like I love that. Speaking of men, what is it like? Girl, who are you telling? Well,
that's what it's like, exhausting.
I don't have that life anymore.
Lucky for you.
There's no exhaustion over here. But what is it like being a successful lawyer, right? What is it like dating? Are men intimidated by your success? Do you feel like you need to date someone on your level? Would you ever date down? I got so many questions.
Listen, I am of the school of thought. If a man has ambition and he has drive and he makes way less than me, I'm good with that. As long as he treats me really nice, he's loyal, I'm fine with that. But if the ambition is not there, the motivation's not there, the finances is not there, it's a chopped cheese.
He looking for...
Yeah, it's a chop.
Yeah, I wouldn't entertain that either.
So I you know, I never used to be the woman to say, oh, you know, I'm strong, I'm independent. I don't want to be independent. Girl. Is the mic on? I don't want to be independent.
Look into the camera and tell them that.
I don't want to be independent. Because think about it. I have to be like that in a courtroom. Yeah. I have to be like that for my career. So day to day, I have to be this like independent, strong woman. And I would like to have a relationship where I don't have to carry that burden.
Yeah.
That I can be soft and I can be feminine and I can just sit back and let the man lead. I'm a traditional old school girly. I like a man to lead. So with that said, I never used to think men were intimidated by me, but I'm starting to notice that they are. And that's unfortunate for me.
How did you notice? Do you have a story
I started noticing so I just started dating. I'm doing Hinge.
Okay.
And Hinge is a dating app where you meet a lot of different men from different industries and different parts of the world and boroughs and everywhere. And, if I go on a date, some of the things that they could say, like, wow, you're still single and you're an attorney, right? Like placing my title in front of me. But I'm just a human. Like attorney's just a title. So are like, oh, wow, you live here, in Midtown. Oh, you have an office in Midtown. Like when they start clocking those things and kind of like making it like that's like precedent to who I am, I'm like, oh, here we go. One guy just flat out and said it last week. We were just communicating on the app and he's like, why would you want me? Like, you're a whole attorney. And I was like, wow. I felt sad for him because I was like, you should think of yourself higher.
Yeah.
To be like, oh, I don't care if she's an attorney, a doctor, a judge. I am who I am. And I'm that good that, I'll be enough. I'm enough.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And also, like, I can add something, bring something to her that she doesn't have or add value in different places. For him to just be so insecure, it's disheartening.
Yeah.
Damn. And you guys hadn't even met yet?
That was a messaging. So I was like,
what's the difference for you with online dating and then dating in person? I've done online dating as like a social experiment. And honestly though, while I was swiping, I was like, men are so ugly. Half of you are just hideous. Like
not ugly.
No, for real. Like unattractive. Like no.
Z. No, they do be out here ugly though.
Like you think about it, it's like one.
And they have the nerve to say they want someone looking like Beyonce.
That's what I'm saying. Like, are you seeing yourself? Shit, they're probably watching this asking me if I'm seeing myself.
Girl, we look good. So.
Period. Like, clock it.
Right.
But what's the difference for you? Which would you prefer, and why online dating for you?
I would probably prefer online dating because it literally takes away that awkwardness when meeting someone, out and about. Online dating, you can actually read their profile too. And it's almost like a preliminary meet because let's say you want to date someone without children.
Yeah.
Online, you already know. It'll say I have 2 kids.
Yeah.
On the bar, you don't know if homie has kids.
Hold on, people be putting that in their bio, father, mother.
Oh, well, it says children. Because they ask. Well, it's actually like one of the options. It says like, what do you do for work, children? Because think about it. Some people have a preference.
Yeah.
I used to say it's harder to date men specifically with children because I feel like it was always that in and out game with the child's mom. But now I'm just like, I'm of the age. I'm 42, turning 43 in a week. So yeah, I mean, they're going to be men with children and I'm fine with that. Now, what if they have 4 or 5? That's a bit challenging. So those are things that you get to know up front. Education is big to me. Or entrepreneurship, if someone's not educated, but he's a business owner. So it still shows that ambition. So yeah, those are the things that you can kind of weed out instantly instead of going to a bar and then finding out that he been working for Walmart for 20 years on a cashier. And I'm like, you didn't even move off the cash register? You didn't even move up to manager yet? Dang.
What's the growth?
Right. And there's nothing wrong with working at an establishment like Walmart, but it's like, where have you moved up? Are you like VP of Walmart? Like, are you just still 20 years later, like, in the same space? So yeah, I like to creep on them profiles.
What kind of men do you like? Like, what are like
Um,
3 characteristics that are very important to you? You will not like,
Deal breakers.
yeah.
Deal breakers. One, he cannot be atheist. He has to love God. Because I love God. Spirituality is a very big part of my life. Having a relationship with Jesus.
Period.
So that's big. Him and his prayer life. And then 2 is his communication. I love talking, you know? So when we have challenges in a relationship, you have to be able to effectively communicate. If you don't know how to communicate, it's going to make a very hard relationship. And then 3, he has to be funny. Can't take life too
Yes.
serious, man. I love a laugh.
Me too.
My ex used to get on me. He would rag on me. He'd be like, "That's what you wearing? Ooh."
You gotta troll me a little bit because I'm gonna troll your ass too.
He
So.
be trolling. It's so funny. So I like to enjoy life.
Yeah.
So he has to be able to enjoy life, with me.
And you have a big personality.
Oh, thank you.
A lot of men can be intimidated by that. But
Yeah.
it's nice when like that person matches the energy. And it's like, oh yeah, we got this. We're the life of the party.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
What would you say is different for you? You're 42, right?
Mhm.
So dating in your 20s, dating in your 30s, and now dating in your 40s. What is the biggest difference you've seen? Whether it's just across men or within yourself, like the things you want have changed and so forth.
Intentionality. And I tell a lot of young girls this that I know. It's so important to be intentional.
That's my word of the year.
We think life is so long and we have all this time and we're taking things easy. We're just having fun in your 20s, then you get in your 30s and now you're starting to hone in on your career and your aspirations as far as what you want to do for your life. So that consumes your 30s and now here we are 42 and it's like, I wasn't as intentional. So that was the difference. Now in my 40s, I'm creating a space where I'm being very strategic about my dating life and who I want to date, what he should look like, praying for that partner and that mate and just being intentional about it. Whereas before I was just like dating, oh, he's fun, oh, he's swaggy, oh, he, and now it's just like, okay, would this person be a good husband? Would he be a good father? What is his morals and values? Is he an upstanding person? How does he treat other people? Is he family oriented? These are questions that I wouldn't ask in my 30s,
Wow. I love that you said that because as I said, that's my word of the year. And also like as I reflect, I'm 33. I'm like, how old am I? I'm 33 now. But as I reflect on my 20s, I'm like, I agree. Like that's something I completely overlooked. It's like I'm here for a good time, maybe not the longest time, right? Like the compatibility or we in alignment, those were never things I really focused on. It was just a lot of the physical aspects and then emotional as well. But like, yeah, now I'm in my 30s. I'm like, do you want kids? Are you a good husband? Like all the same questions you just asked. And I'm happy that I'm at that stage in my 30s, right? And I love that you give young women that advice because a lot of us overlook that. Sometimes we get so wrapped up in that relationship or that person, we kind of lose ourselves and what's important to us, So thank you for that, Jam. It's like a nice reminder. Sure. I want to speak about how people tell on themselves through social media, right? You being a lawyer, you do criminal defense amongst so many others as well. And as I watched or listened to like the ASAP Rocky case, Young Thug, Lil Durk. Yeah, I'm like, I always get, I'm like, Young Durk, Lil Durk, Lil Durk. Claudia Zena doesn't listen to rap.
Right.
If it's in Jersey, I'm not listening. No, I'm joking.
Right.
But just the ways that they've used their lyrics in these cases against them, right? I mean, Young Thug did how many years? He's on probation. And now Lil Durk is on trial. And so what advice do you have for young people on how to use social media so that they're not telling on themselves? Or what have you seen as well in like the way we put things on the internet that can be damaging to us in the future?
So there unfortunately has been so many cases that resulted with convictions from social media.
Mhm.
And people think social media, there are ways to manage and vet what they post, but literally Big Brother is always watching. So you can post something today and 5 years later go to delete it and it still will be there when you delete it.
So
There
scary.
have been, when I prosecuted, one of my very trainings, the Homicide Bureau came and showed us an underground YouTube video.
Mm.
In the YouTube video, they were doing some rapping, and they were literally rapping about how they killed someone,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's in Bronx County. So social media is very powerful, and not just for criminal law, divorces, right? If you're buying a new Lamborghini, but putting out to the public that, hey, listen, I'm broke, or, telling your wife I only make this, but well, how'd you buy that? So I think I know social media is very powerful when it comes to litigation. And I actually have it in my retainer. I have a clause in the retainer that says, please refrain from posting on social media until the duration of this case concludes. So I warn my clients, don't use electronic devices at work to send certain emails. Watch what you send. I even sat in on a case. It was a RICO case, federal, and I was shadowing a very big attorney, Kenneth Montgomery, here in New York. And during one portion of the case, the witness was testifying to a transcript from a burner phone. And I'm like, wait, how are they tracking a burner phone? And I mean, play by play, how they're moving this weight. They're moving, I mean, kilos, heavy, heavy weight.
Ooh.
And I'm like, wow, even on a burner phone. And they were swapping the burner phones out. So transcripts had to change because they're like, okay, this number ending in this number. They were swapping the SIM cards and it was still being tracked.
But how?
That's the feds.
That's
That's
crazy.
the feds.
I thought the whole point of a
Burner
burner
phone,
was just you can't
right,
track it,
right, right.
But yeah, I thought the whole point of a burner phone is you can't track it. So nothing's safe really. You just
No, nothing safe. And again, like Instagram, Facebook, we can subpoena them. I've subpoenaed Facebook before. When you subpoena Facebook, as long as there is a open court case, they're like, okay, here you go. They gave
they
it to
have
me.
to give it to you.
They have to give me that information.
It's really once it's on the internet, it's on the internet
It's
forever.
on the internet.
And a lot of
Yeah.
people overlook that, right? Because I think to them, as you said, they think they press delete, swipe, whatever, it's gone. I'm so curious to know, like, is there like a database? Like now I want to get into the science of the
Yeah, it's servers. Everything's on a server.
okay.
It's backed up. So even when, I believe with Apple iPhone, and I believe this is in their terms and conditions, which is like 600 pages long. Even when you delete on your iPhone, I believe that there is a way that they can back up what was deleted. Yeah.
It's giving back to the caveman days.
Right.
I'm speaking like I'm trying to commit a crime. Like
Right.
that's not my life. But it's like nothing safe for real, for real. What are some ways in which people can protect themselves against telling on themselves, really? Like
Be mindful. You can't trust. It's hard to trust. I hate to say you can't trust, right? Because you want to trust your friends and family members, but there have been so many cases. One of my very first cases, criminal, he was being charged with criminal possession of a weapon and attempted robbery because we call them co-defendants, the people that you're with. turned on him.
Wow.
Yeah, and they were friends, right? Or you'll have cases where the key witness for the prosecutor will be a family member or a friend because you've spoke to that person and you've confided in that person.
Mm-hmm.
And then that person goes and serves as a witness for the prosecutor because their best interest, of course, is themselves.
Yeah.
And they just need something in return. Maybe they're in trouble and they just want to kind of break free from it. So they'll point the finger at you, give them all the tea, all the lowdown, and then, yeah.
I can imagine, like,
Yeah.
I want to role play.
Yeah.
Walking out, hands behind your back, and you see your homeboy on the other side of the table, ready to like
Right.
go against you. Like, there must be so many emotions and feelings. I'm just imagining because it's
Betrayal.
like, yeah, exactly. Like, how could you?
Mm-hmm.
But then I wonder if there's ever like this thought in their heads, well, if it was me, I would probably do the same. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got, at the end of the day, your best interest is you, as you said.
Yeah.
So it's either you sacrifice yourself for that person or you do what you gotta do.
Yep.
That's tough.
Yep.
I would never want to be in that position.
Yeah. No.
Ever in my life. What are some misconceptions you think you face as a lawyer and like just being an entrepreneur?
Oh, she has money. I'm like, the overhead be killing me.
Mhm.
Being an entrepreneur, you have to be responsible for everything.
Yeah.
The office space, the insurance, things from the office supplies, the paralegal that I hired, and everything else, the software, the hardware, just anything you can think of tied to running a firm.
Yeah.
I'm responsible for that. So I have to constantly, keep active and constantly take on clients. And sometimes I'll feel a bit overwhelmed, but I'm like, okay, you got to keep hustling and keep grinding.
And keep this afloat.
Yeah, and keep it afloat.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to think of other things to kind of branch off into, so I don't have to kind of like burn myself out the first 5 years of having the firm.
Yeah.
So I think that's very important to have multiple streams of revenue, even as an entrepreneur. You see entrepreneurs that make it. I went to Invest Fest in Atlanta, and those two guys,
Rashad and what's the other one's name?
Rashad and Troy, is it?
I think so.
That's so bad.
I
But they started off with a little podcast.
Yeah.
Invest Fest was huge.
Yeah.
And I heard that, in the first couple of years, it was kind of so-so, but this last one was gigantic. It was amazing. I networked. I met some, business contacts there. But all that to say, I used them because they constantly kept turning the wheel and branching out to other things. They just didn't keep it at one thing.
Yeah.
And that's very inspiring to me because as Black young entrepreneurs, it's years ago, we couldn't even have this type of space, but now we can branch into having our business, being business owners, being certified Minority Women Business Enterprise, MWBE. I'm certified now, City.
Okay.
And yeah, so the firm is MWBE, and now I can branch into government contracting. So those are very good things that I can have under my belt to help me branch off and have different streams of like revenue. Yeah.
No, it's heavy on the people here. You're a lawyer, you have your own firm, and they automatically assume that, but they don't
see what comes with it.
Exactly, yeah, and everything else you have to cover. Do you like to argue? Is that a misconception?
I hate arguing. I hate opposition. Even when like I'll see that one of the opposing counsel wants to kind of like argue and go back and forth. And I'm like, oh gosh, here we go. Why can't we just settle this case, please? But I do like to argue with judges, and I'll tell you why.
Please do.
It's paramount to law because judges are a little more seasoned sometimes when it comes to uh, the interpretation of certain laws and statutes, and sometimes they misconstrue it.
Mhm.
They don't interpret it in the way it should be interpreted. So I get to research and then write on a paper or maybe even litigate orally
Mhm.
what it should actually be. And that's where I feel like a true lawyer, because
Yeah.
I'm like, well, Your Honor, pursuant to, FCA, Article 8, subsection A, it actually says that interim child support can come with a family offense petition. You said you didn't have jurisdiction, but the law actually says you do have jurisdiction to do that. So
Ooh.
it's very empowering,
Yeah.
because it's like, oh, wow, like I just taught a judge something. And then the
Exactly.
judge has to say, oh, counsel, you're right.
Mhm.
Some judges even say, well, what section is that? And I'd be like, oh, section 834.459. And they turn to the page or have their court attorney turn to the page and they'd be like, okay, she's right.
Standing on business.
Yeah.
Like,
So I like that part. It's fun. It's
and you
cute.
feel so like, I know my stuff.
Yeah.
It gives you that boost of confidence.
Mm-hmm.
How would you say the lack of representation affects, I'm talking about with Black
Mm-hmm.
attorneys, right? How does that affect or impact the legal system? Not just for, well, I would say for the clients or for the defendants.
Yep. Well, clients and for the people. So it affects the legal system because, unfortunately, when you don't have representation to understand where you come from,
Mhm.
understand the culture, understand your background, and just essentially understand your struggle, it's very hard sometimes for them to zealously represent you.
Mm.
Um, and not to say they can't, because there are some attorneys that just are really, really good. I know some really good attorneys
Mhm.
that are not of color, but for the most part, when you have 2% of minorities, there are 2% of Black and brown people that are attorneys in the United States of America.
2%
2%.
is wild.
And I always encourage young minority children pursue a career in law, because representation matters.
Mhm.
And I would rather have a minority prosecutor prosecute me,
Mhm.
because he or she most likely will understand where I came from, will
Yeah.
understand the struggle. So, hey, listen, it's rough to be in an industry with 2% of minorities, but it's also rewarding. It's
Mhm.
an honor, a badge of honor that I can go and help and fight for my people, and fight for just essentially everyone. But
Mhm.
representation does matter. So, yeah, tomorrow I have a career expo that SL Nelson Law Firm will be there. It's called Good Girls, and it's, I think, 275 girls are registered here, and they're from the ages of 9 to 18.
Mhm.
So y'all can look Good Girls up. And I think it's a really powerful movement and mission
Mhm.
to show, the girls that you can do it. You can be whatever you want to do.
It's attainable. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
us, we don't think things are possible or attainable when we don't have someone who look like us
Mm-hmm.
in those positions,
Mhm.
right? So it's nice to have that representation that, oh, she can do it, I can do it too.
Yes.
And also, as you spoke about, like being the prosecutor and
Mhm.
kind of having empathy for that
Mhm.
person who looks like you as
Yeah.
well, right? Like, you
Mhm.
still have a job to do,
Mhm.
but I think it ties back to what you said earlier. Like,
Mhm.
you wouldn't push for like a harsh sentence. You push for something a little
Exactly.
lighter.
Lenient, because I
Yeah.
know that this person is going to face some struggle in the future.
Yes.
So I want to invest in that person's future. Even being an officer, think about it. A lot of the officers, they have these interactions with minorities, but imagine they looked at minorities like it was their own son. They would handle them more with care. So, I think you're handled a bit more with care from your very own.
Yeah.
But we need to come in,
Yeah.
it's not as much.
That's
Yeah.
a fact.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here today. We do have
You're
to wrap
welcome.
up.
You're welcome.
I feel so accomplished having a lawyer on my couch. Like,
I got you.
I'll let them
Yep.
know they can find you, your social media, your website for your firm.
Yes. So the website is www.slnelsonlaw.com. And the Instagram is SL_Nelson Law. And you can find me through the website. All our contact information is there. The phone number, the address. We're located in Midtown. So if you ever need a bomb attorney, that's me.
She's the one for you. Honesties, I shall see you all next week. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Check out Stephanie's Instagram, her website. If you need an attorney and some representation,
Yes.
you're in good hands.
And happy Women's Month to everyone.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
It was a pleasure.